Good morning. Good morning to all the Indian participants and good night to all the USA participants, especially today's chief guest and resource person, Mr. Pranit Gaikwad sir, and warm welcome to all. The delegates, dignitaries, participants, and my dear students. First of all, let me welcome all you on the occasion of this one-day international webinar on new product development in food industry organized by Department of Food Processing Technology, Professor Sambhajirao Kadam College, Deur, on this beautiful morning. Sri Mudhai Devi Shikshan Sanstha's Professor Sambhajirao Kadam College, Deur, is emerging as a vibrant and responsive college in rural area. It has received the Meritorious College Award in rural area twice from Shivaji University, Kolhapur. NAC recommended 2.52 the ranks in the university festivals and sport competitions. The other credible achievements are NIRF ISO 9001 status 2019 an award of MHRD's flagship program Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, as well as incredible international trade and GST law courses. We take this opportunity to welcome you as a part of this webinar. The thrust area of this webinar is to analyze new and emerging product development in the food industry. However, at this moment, I should acknowledge that organizing this one-day international webinar is an initiative of our institute. I also welcome today's resource person and chief guest, Honorable Mr. Pranit Gaikwad, who is a senior food scientist in Belgium Corporation, Fairholt, Minnesota, USA. I also welcome to our College Development Committee President, Engineer Arvind Kadam, as well as the President of today's webinar, Principal Dr. Bharat Bhosle sir, and all my colleagues and all participants, delegates, dignitaries, and my dear student. Welcome you all once again. So may I now request to Assistant Professor Prajakta Bhise ma'am to introduce today's resource person and chief guest, Honorable Mr. Pranit Gaikwad sir.
कोण गेले बघायचे शेगडे सर आहेत अजून कोण नाही जॉईन असतं एवढे हे पण सर अजून किती जण जॉईन बघ ना तुझ्या पुढे घे अजून ऐसे है।
वही भारतीय नहीं कोई पीढ़ी
Good morning. Today's resource person, Mr. Praneeth Gaikwad sir, has completed his Master of Science in Food Science from the University of Wisconsin-Stout. He has completed his Master of Science in Food Science and Food Science from the University of D.Y. Patil University and also completed his BSc from Annasaheb Garwari College of Arts and Science, Pune. He also completed his diploma dairy in food safety and quality management.
Madam, you are not audible.
He has
Audible.
food product development.
Not audible, madam. AUD, I will. Audible. 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 का? ना काले. तो मस्त ढोला बोलता. यायला. रोग पडत नाही काय नाही माहितीये का? आपल्याला मानला लागले का ते?
Seven months experience in quality assurance analyst. Sir has worked as an assistant professor in Tuzaram Chaturchand College, Baramati and Baramati. He had taught the following courses to understand the dairy technology students: milk processing, food safety, hygiene and sanitation, dairy chemistry, dairy engineering, and principles of cheese manufacturing. He has also assisted the development in new products from the concepts, approval, formulation, product development, plant trial runs to launch. Thank you.
So may I now request today's resource person and chief guest, Honorable Mr. Praneeth Gaikwad, sir, who is a senior food scientist in Belgium Corporation, Faribault, Minnesota, USA, to deliver his speech on new product development in the food industry. Please, sir. Mr. Praneeth Gaikwad, sir.
Hello everyone. I hope I'm audible and visible also. Can
Yes,
someone
sir.
confirm
Yes, sir.
that? Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for sharing the screen. Thank you, Prajakta ma'am and Adate sir, for brief introduction. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to have this opportunity to talk to you today about this interesting topic, new product development. I really wanted to talk to students in India about this topic because uh, a lot of universities or colleges are not covering this in their curriculum. And this is why I believe students are learning in pieces. and they know the quality side of things, they know the production side of it, they know the operation side of food manufacturing. But putting all those pieces together for the understanding from the concept or from the perspective of food product development is important. So I'm gonna try to bridge that gap in the knowledge, how all the pieces are put together in new product development. And also, uh, I know many of you are students of food science and dairy science. Some are students, some are professors, some are industry professionals. So I know you have basic understanding of how food is manufactured. And I believe that is great because we are trying to bridge the gap in the basic understanding of food production and how new product is introduced in the market. So with that being said, I would also like to uh, thank everyone who invited me here to talk about this, and we can get started with the presentation. Okay, so today in this webinar, we will be covering two important aspects. One is how food product development is currently done in industry, not necessarily just in India, but we will be talking about some of the cases and case studies from India to give you brief understanding. I know it is hard for anyone to cover a topic like food product development uh, in like just 30 minutes or 45 minutes, but I'm going to try my best to touch on all the topics that we have at hand, covering everything from idea generation to the launch and post-launch activities also. So in this webinar, we'll be covering two important aspects. One is how product development happens currently in India or anywhere else in the world. And second is from the perspective of students, if they want to uh, be in the career of and be a food product developer, right? So uh, let's see what food product development is. Okay, I know you have basic understanding and I'm not going to go in deep also. So many of us in India, when we don't have the curriculum of food product development in our degree programs, we think that food product development is creating a recipe or creating a formulation. Okay, there is more to it than just creating a formulation or creating a recipe. So food product development is more than creating a perfect recipe. This whole process is creative and rigorous. Okay, when I say creative and rigorous, we are going to talk about why it is rigorous and why food companies or any company in the world, be it not just the food company, even the tech companies, why they invest so much money in R&D and product development, and why they study it extensively so they don't fail. Food product development includes range of activities and people from different domain, and that those people and those activities get involved to create a successful food product. Developing food products require talented personnel, that is the competent personnel. So the personnel that we are going to talk about in future. Am I still audible? Something changed.
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Okay, all right. Uh, so developing food products require talented personnel, extensive research, suitable physical facility, and good financial strength. Okay, any company cannot just jump into new food product development if they're already facing problems in their steady production lines. That's why we call it a rigorous process. Now let's take a look at four major characteristics on how food development can occur. Okay, you can stay on the current slide. And food product development can occur.
तू त्याला भेटतेस
कसलं कुत्र आहे एकदा अंगावर आलेलं माहिती आहे.
हॅलो, आपले सगळ्यांचे माईक बंद करायचे आहेत. आपण पार्टिसिपंट्सला विनंती आहे. Excuse me, sir. Please, Gaikwad, sir.
Okay. Okay. So food product development happens at big FMCG companies. You can imagine companies like Mondelez International. Everyone loves chocolates, right? So Dairy Milk or the Cadbury brand products that are made by Mondelez International. So suppose FMCG companies like that are manufacturing the products for consumers. They do a lot of market research and a lot of consumer insights, and we are going to talk about product life cycle as well, and we're going to take example of Cadbury or the Mondelez International. Then the other part is food ingredient manufacturers. Food ingredient manufacturers usually do research and development and new product development to offer their ingredients to FMCG companies, like we talked about Mondelez initially, right? Companies like Cargill or Kerry Ingredients fall into these categories. These also enables them to create awareness among the target consumers and develop possibility to utilize their product. It is part of their business strategy to help big FMCG companies to come up with formulations and products so that their ingredients are sold in the marketplace. The third place where the product development. Okay, am I audible?
Hi, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Some of the chats say like I'm not audible.
Yes, sir. Audible. Continue,
Okay.
sir. Continue.
Okay. The third place where the product development occurs is at food service industry, like hotels and restaurants. It is not concerning to our session today, but you can imagine a chef creating a new recipe from getting existing ingredients from the market and making it into a new product. Basically utilizing suppose chocolate and making it into a creative dish. So that's something happens in food service industry. Can we go on the next slide? Okay, so as we have seen that where it happens now, the question is why it is needed, why we manufacture or why we have to go to new products while we have current products in the market. Currently, food product market is filled with competition. Every company wants new products and they are doing it to survive. So the companies engage in new product development in the hopes of gaining new customers, expanding into new geographical markets, increasing profits, elevating brand excitement, and increasing shares. Changing food trends and habits is important part of company. Company must be aware of trends in the market, what is happening, and what consumer actually wants. By understanding this, companies could refine or revise their strategies. Usually, consumer preference alters according to the religion, ethnicity, age, or non-religious beliefs. Not just limited to that, also region where they are from, and a lot of other things, health conditions and everything. Okay. Accordingly, companies react by launching new products beyond the stated reasons. Companies also launch food products when there is a regulatory pressure. Suppose for in some countries, a few years ago in Nordic countries, vitamin D fortification was made mandatory for dairy products. So companies had to revise their formulations, their strategies to launch the products or relaunch the products, reformulate the products in the market. Can we go on to the next slide, please? Okay. So making the food products is not just end of the new product development. There are a lot of things that come before making the product, during making the product, and after making the product or product being launched into the market. So commercialization is of a product is a rigorous process, and companies undergo four important phases. I'm talking about broad four phases. Many of the companies have even more detailed steps for commercializing a product. So the broad four phases are market research, actual product development, launch, and post-launch activities. So as I said, your job as food product developer is not finished when the product is launched. You have to monitor how the product is doing in the market, how customers are responding to it. Do customers have complaints? Do customers need any modifications or improvements in the products? You have to pay attention to all those things. So among these four phases, product development is the implementation part where the idea gets translated into the product. So now we can go through an overview of food product development process that occurs in the industry with a practical example. So okay, so can we go on to the next slide, please? Right. So we can see here it is the overview of food product development process, and usually the process starts from idea may come from marketing team, the research team, consumer input, or even the blog post, an online blog post. Even someone is creating a recipe at home, you can take that idea and put into your commercialization process to make a product, a sellable product into the market. And idea also can come from competitive products, like Coke existed before Pepsi. Pepsi is a Me Too product of the Coke. So Coke is replicated in terms of Pepsi, and there are a lot of Me Too products. Some products are launched into the market, and other companies just see as their competitor what they're doing, and they just want to replicate the product. There are many ways the ideas can originate. So once it is done, we can go for idea screening. Idea screening is something that is done by scrutinizing, by asking questions such as how will the consumers use the product, who is the competition, how is the product different from the competition, what is the price consumer will be willing to pay. Based on these factors, project managers and marketing team screens the idea. Next is the validation part. Validation happens through feasibility study, basically asking questions again, are we able to make these products and make profit on it? Feasibility considerations for business includes the regulatory study and finances. Regulations is evaluated at the start of the project. The team must take into the consideration what the regulatory requirements are of that product. Suppose for in India, FSSAI should be considered before, for example, making cereal products like cornflakes. You should look up in the FSSAI and understand what is the moisture content for. So for example, for cornflakes, moisture content should be less than 7.5%. So you should know this before even trying to make the product. If the product is not meeting the criteria according to the regulation, the company is going to face regulatory threat. Next comes the technology part. In order to launch new product, the necessary equipment and ingredient facility should be in place and must be established. If it is not feasible, product should be eliminated or project should be eliminated. If you want to make a rice pudding product, it is really simple to make it, but if you're gonna invest a lot of money into the equipment and eventually that equipment is gonna be a liability, it's gonna be a bad idea to launch that product into the market. So a lot of companies for these reasons do not buy equipments. They go to the companies who already have the equipment, and this is something called third party manufacturing. So until the company is ready to make that kind of investment, they get the product made from third party manufacturer. After all the above criteria is positive, companies go ahead to the product development and test market. So this product could be manufactured at approved food processing facility, as I mentioned earlier. The final commercialization part happens after getting greater clarity on overall process. The companies go ahead confidently launching the product into the market. At this point, they might be manufacturing at their instead of third-party manufacturer. We can go to the next slide, please. Okay, now we will, okay, this is the part where I was talking about product lifecycle, and here we are going to talk about Mondelez in brief. Just for example, you might have noticed how dairy milk is, growing over the years. The product as a dairy milk chocolate is not the same that used to be like 10 years ago. They're constantly making changes and launching new products. Okay, there are fruits and nuts. I think recently they launched something called bubbles in the chocolate. So why they are doing this? Because of the product life cycle. Okay, there is an introduction part of the product, and product goes on growing for a certain amount of time. Then there is a maturity. There is no growth or no decline for some time, but eventually that product dies. Usually this is a product life cycle, and companies have to do product life cycle studies and product life cycle management before they launch the product. They should be keeping eye on the market and see how the product is doing in the market. Can we go on the next slide, please? Okay, now we will discuss about a practical use in above process. Let's assume you are a product developer and working for a company, and you get a product development brief, which looks like something on your screen. So this brief tells you the essential information to start the product development process. So you're being asked to develop a cookie containing high fiber product, and there should be roasted crunchy nuts. It should have reduced sugar and it should not have egg in it. So it should be an egg-free product. The combination cost should not go beyond 400 per kilogram, and shelf life should be 8 months, and the timeline allotted for the whole product development process is 12 months. The shape of the product should be square, and it should be packed in polyester lamination. The target consumer is health conscious consumer. The product will be launched throughout the India. Okay, this is a product brief, something looks like, and usually this is a result of consumer insights, where companies do surveys what consumer wants into the market and what our competitors are manufacturing. So this is depending on the product briefs are depending on that. Okay, can we go on to the next slide, please? Now, based on this product brief, the product developers will start working on the product. And we will be covering range of activities at lab scale first, then at the larger scale. First, at the lab scale, the process starts by automating ingredients. The product developer will be contacting vendors and organizing raw materials like the flavors, colors. For this cookie, suppose we will be contacting fiber manufacturers and asking them for a quote, what kind of fiber it is, and understanding the ingredients and their functionality. Next comes to the regulatory consideration. It is the most important part. Team will evaluate the additive regulations, allowance, and the limits. Okay, basic cookie requirements, and also we said it should be a high fiber product. So in order to be able to call it to high fiber product, what should be the requirements according to the SSSI? So we will be looking into that. After this product developer will start formulating products and taking trials. He or she will be doing series of formulations of the products, and when team is confident, they will be going ahead with the preliminary sensory with the internal team, and they will be giving a feedback, and that will be recorded. In case feedbacks are pointing towards negative side, the product will be discarded at the suppose they try 10 formulations and only 4 of them are potentially good, so other 6 formulations are discarded at this point. um, After this, product will be reworked and it will be taken into larger panel study after again manufacturing the uh, decided formulations. This time the panel may contain somewhere between 100 to 200 members, and after this lab scale prototypes are approved, simultaneously shelf life study is started. So for shelf life study, if you are manufacturing a product which has 2 years of shelf life, you don't need to wait until 2 years to launch into the product. As I said, how the products be brief are made into the due to with the consideration of the competition. So the competitor products are already available into the market, and the final prototype are made onto the basis of the product that are already available into the market. So the prototypes, I see a question here about a prototype. So I'm answering that the prototype is something that is actual product, how it's gonna be into the market. It's gonna be the actual shape, actual size with the specification that are gonna be on the market, on the label with the ingredients, and it will be in the actual packaging that is it's gonna be sold. So shelf life is also initiated, and uh, this gives us idea how the product is going to behave into the market before even the larger scale production is done. We can go to the next slide, please. Next falls the larger scale study. At this stage, the product developer goes ahead and takes care of the larger scale trials, which usually range from 200 kilograms to 1,000 kilograms, depending on the product. It can vary. So this is done at least 10 to 15 times, or the 10 to 15 batches, and it will be a time to do a batch validation. What we are having variations from batch to batch, we want to address the issue that the moisture of the cookie is constant over the 10 to 15 batches, or we at least have a range of moisture that we are capable of doing or capable of achieving. That is how the team members will be confident that the product is scalable and reliable in the market. Here the shelf life will be tested again on the larger scale, and here the shelf life will be tested in the exact packaging material which the company is going to use in the market launch. Next comes to the part of nutritional labeling and the ingredient declarations. Based on the final recipe or final formulation, uh, the labeling is done. Based on the validated process, quality specifications for raw materials and final products will be established. This is important because you want to set ground specifications for raw materials, because you don't want to have variability in the final products. Whatever your raw materials specifications, if they are constant, as long as you are maintaining the process constant, the output will be also constant. So finally, the packaging design is done, where the marketing team and the packaging team join together uh, to get the graphics and how the packaging should look like. If we are talking about cookie packaging here, it will be polyester packaging and laminations, and the outside of the packaging will have the claim on it. So there are regulations how the claim should be made, and product developers should look into the regulatory part of the labeling process. With this prototype, product developer with the team goes to the management for approval. If the management approves the product is launched into the market. So let's go on to the next slide, please. So let's look at who is actually involved in the process. One more time. Next slide, please. Yeah. So the product is launched to the market with the help of cross-functional team. It's not food product development and commercialization launch can never be done by one single person. It is achieved by cross-functional domains coming together to form a single team. Usually members who involved in food product development depends on the team size and the company. Marketing or the brand manager uh, draw the vision to the brand, and they initiate the product development. Next comes the finance manager. They help in the marketing team to come up with the cost and pricing at the different stages of the product development. Then product managers, they basically monitor and coordinate with key functional domains and respect to particular product or the project. Packaging technologies play vital role. Uh, they determine which packaging material needs to be used and what machinery will be required to package the product. Next, food product developers or food product technologist comes. They develop the product based on the marketing briefs or the product briefs as we saw before. Uh, next comes the operation manager. He or she will be responsible in coordination of different departments of plant team like logistics, quality control, and other teams. They also ensure smooth function of the whole production process. Then the procurement manager, they basically develop a rapport with different vendors and suppliers. They usually are responsible for procuring products or the ingredients in time and at the affordable rates to the manufacturing facility. The final step is quality control team. They will be responsible for developing HACCP plan for the product, and will be setting up some quality parameters for ensuring the good quality of the product or the best quality of the product, that is according to the food safety and all the regulations, meeting all the regulations. Uh, So from the all this process, one would get a brief note on how product development works at a larger scale. However, the product development is still growing segment in India and throughout the world. Can you go on to the next slide, please? So we'll talk about the second part of the our topic today. In order to be a food product developer, what skills you need to have. So the students and professionals who are aspiring to take full product development as a career and deepen their strengths, here are some skills that will assist you in to have a great start. So the basic rule to consider is 60% of having 60% of uh, technical skills and 40% of management skills. This comes there. The first comes is regulatory knowledge. The technical skills, we are talking about technical skills now. The first comes is regulatory knowledge and ingredient knowledge. Not everyone can be expert in regulatory at all times, and you cannot memorize what percentage of fat or what percentage of moisture should be in each product at all times. So it is important to study the regulation when you are trying to manufacture or trying to develop a product. Other thing, basically for India is FSSI, and for other countries like US, it is FDA or USDA. So understanding the rules and regulations for each product before starting the development process really helps. The other thing is basic in understanding basic ingredient functionalities. So you need, if you are developing high fiber product, you need to know what water holding capacities they have, what is the glycemic index of the fiber products. So these basic, and how the fiber products or fiber ingredients are going to react with other maybe cornstarch into the product or other flours into the product. So how they are going to interact with each other, you should be able to study the theory behind it and accordingly plan it into the practical as well. Recording all your data, recording all your finding before going into the trials is important, so that way there is a documentation of every step. Then I would say the sensory knowledge is important because it is vital part of in the success of any product. One needs to have a detailed understanding of the methodology of how testing sessions should be conducted. Okay, there are a lot of different tests that we can take into the sensory. Having triangular test line or the scale test, descriptive test, what are these? You should know, and you should be able to understand and organize these sensory sessions with, you know, if you are working in lab scale, it will be like until suppose it will be 10 people, but as we said, in the larger scale, we will be taking sensory from 100 to 200 participants. Uh, Next comes the consumer insights, which is like preference of consumers. And this you will know by researching the market. So market surveys and the market uh, reports that you get from the market that are going to help you into what consumer actually wants. Maybe it's not actually a new product, but just a packaging that is, you know, desirable to the consumers for the ease of use. So if you already have that product into the market, you can just invest in a new packaging line. And this type of innovation is called line extensions, so where you are not training the staff about new products, you are not changing the formulation, you are just talking, you are just improving the packaging, right? uh, Next is the manufacturing and processing knowledge. This comes in handy when you are taking the lab scale trials and scaling them up to the industry level uh, trials. It also helps in designing the process and making the choice of ingredients accordingly. For the above four skills mentioned, these fall under commercial awareness skills, and these acts as a pillar It means staying up to the date on daily happenings and developments in the business worlds, like what is happening in the there any products launched by uh, competitors? Are there any new equipments or new technologies available to make this kind of product? Can you go on to the next slide, please? Next important is management skills, and it starts by questioning approach. This approach aims to get more details and take some clues and get informed. The approach starts by asking questions like what, why, when, and how. One must know that product development process is prone to failures. Questioning an analytical approach will help in minimizing the failures. Product developers fail a number of times, but asking the right questions will help to minimize those failures. Next comes to the management tools, which we are in the world of digital era, and the product developers have to manage number of activities and number of projects. So when we are talking about the cookie project, you are not gonna just handle one project at a time. You are gonna handle 15 to 20 different projects at a time, depending on the which company you are working for. But the larger companies, they are not just focused on one product at a time. They are, they're in their pipeline, there are 15, 20, 30, or 50 different products at the same time, and they're ready to launch each product at a specific interval of time. So it's not just working on one product and moving to the next. It's working all of the products at same time, and it takes a lot of concentration to juggle all these projects, because not every project will be at same level. For some projects, we will be waiting for ingredients. For some projects, we will be planning the consumer testing sessions. For some projects, we will be into the launch of the launch step of the project. So it's going to be a lot of different things. So having that idea uh, ready to in the mind, that not just one product is going to be developed at one time, helps to be ready. Okay, I see a question that how many trials should be done. Usually, when you scale up, I mentioned before, 10 to 15 different trials are done. So when this on scaling up from the lab scale to larger scale or the industry scale, 10 to 15 different trials of, as I mentioned, 100 kg to 1000 kg, depending on type of product. And these 10 trials or 15 trials are going to give you a range of data. On basis of that, you're going to validate the process, that you are able to replicate the results every single time, and every single time you are able to make the safe quality product first of all. And secondly, the product should be meeting all the standards that we have set as specifications. I hope this answers your question. We can take questions at the end also. And for the mentioned skills, for these skills, business mechanics acts as a pillar. Business mechanics needs to get a sense of business strategy, what company is aiming to do, how it is gonna help the consumers to uh, find the product they need, what is the vision of the industry, what is the vision of that company, what brand stands for, how the brand is positioned, and also to understand the whole supply chain of the industry. Like what does the retailer expects and what does the supermarket owner expects, etc. Usually there are other peoples to help you in this process, like marketing or the sales team. As I said, it's not your responsibility to have, it's not one man's job to do everything by yourself, right? It is a team effort. Not just one person is going to do all the things. Not one person can be expert in everything. So as we arrive to the end of this session, I want to point out some that emerging climate crisis, resources crisis, and the growing population uh, poses new threats, and we have more stomachs to be fed. Food professionals like us needs to encounter these newer problems with newer creative solutions, and eventually making sustainable food products for the whole population. Remember, any food product starts with the right process and right questions. So it takes time to launch a product into the market because we want to be sure that the launch products is as per the consumer needs and it's also safe for the consumers. With that being said, it's been really nice. Can we go on to the last slide, please? It has been a pleasure speaking to you all today, this morning. And if you have any questions, I'll be here to answer them. You can put them in the chat or anyhow. Thank you.
Now the session is open for discussion. May I now request to all the participants to raise any queries, questions, doubts to today's resource person, Mr. Gaikwad, sir.
I'm not sure what is the question here. Nestle is a good company, but why did give 3 ratings only? Yeah, I believe the rating part is due to the Maggie. Techniques to understand or to get the uh, idea on shelf life. I hope this answers your question. Unhealthy product. I think this comment by Myth is, yes, I agree with you. There are a lot of unhealthy products into the market, and we should be uh, focusing on creating more clean label products where we have less preservatives or minimally processed products. I agree. Yeah. Apart from proximate analysis, or what are the other tests which are must for launch for the products? Again, this depends on the product to product. If you are having a product which is high in protein, you are making protein claim on the product, you should have uh, protein tested from third party lab for, with the proper AOAC procedures. And depending on the product, it could have textural analysis, it could have water active analysis, and proximate analysis is also a must. Yes, you can connect to me via LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn as Gaikwad. You can contact me there. I'll be happy to answer your questions regarding career or in the industry at best of my knowledge. Uh, I think you will have a PPT of the session on YouTube also. And if BCMM can share the PPT also with you. Any type of product suggestion for new startup industry? It's more of a idea generation thing. I don't know. We can uh, also, I would like to mention if anyone is interested in manufacturing something and do not have resources, you can contact me. I can help you find right people in India, uh, how to fund your company, or we can try something at least. I think there is a need of entrepreneurs in this age currently, because there are a lot of not a lot of jobs available into the market. So you are the next generation who will be going to create jobs into the industry. You can do a search of Pranit Gaikwad on LinkedIn. You will be able to find me there. Uh, how can we extend shelf life of fresh fruit juices without adding preservatives? I think uh, answer to this is putting it through the high pressure or high thermal treatments as aseptic packaging, basically Tetra Paks with HTST, exposing the product to 121 degrees Celsius for, for a second, or whatever the industry norms are. I hope that is the all questions. Thank you everyone for having me, and it's been a pleasure to be able to talk to you today.
Thank you very much, sir, for your learned and scholarly speech on new product development in food industry, as well as question answer session. I'm sure that your consideration will prove very helpful to our students and all the participants. Thank you once again. May I now request to our principal, Dr. Bharat Bhosle sir, who is our source of inspiration from last 36 years of a teaching experience at UG and PG classes, and 27 years experience of principalship. He has published 3 books on mathematics and 20 research papers in different national and international journals. He is actively engaged in research in artificial neural network and artificial intelligence. Dr. Bhosle sir has worked on various administrative bodies like Academic Council, Senate, etc. He has chaired various international workshops, seminars, and conferences held abroad almost 15 developed countries. He is a proud recipient of various awards and honors. He has rewarded with a Bharat Gaurav Award, Bharat Excellence Award, Best Teacher Award, Paryavaran Mitra Award. May I now request to our principal, Dr. Bharat Bhosle sir, to share his valuable thoughts about this international webinar. Please, sir.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Praveen. It gives me an immense pleasure to greet you on this virtual platform. Dr. Praveen, right from US, you joined. So I had been to US for US twice, and I traveled length and breadth of US. So your association has refreshed my memories with US. Okay, Dr. Praveen has elaborated on the topic, today's topic, as a chief speaker, a very authoritative person coming directly from horse's mouth on the topic, that is new product development in food processing. Amazing topic, enormous potential for this particular sector, especially on the employment. Youngsters, youths of today have got, and it is offering enormous opportunities to the youths, students, and with this view in my mind, we introduced food processing technology, a degree program under the National Skills Qualification Framework. And yes, gradually this program is also finding takers. This program would definitely build the future of youths. In recent years, food industry or rather the food processing industry, horticulture, and therefore the food industry, food processing industry has been enormously growing. The growth is phenomenal rather, and India particularly has grouped several industrial and business activities under 30, as many as 38 groups called or known as Sector Skills Council, and there is a separate Sector Skills Council for food processing industry. It's through this processed fruits and food, it's a value addition. As we have rightly, our today's speaker has rightly pointed out and elaborated on it. Tremendous national and international market for processed food. It's a value addition to the agricultural produce, rather the perishable goods, perishable produce. And it's blissful and blessings for the farmers and the youths of today, offering enormous opportunities for them to become self-employed entrepreneurs in this particular amazing field. And there is the another point is that there is a dearth of skilled human resource, particularly in this field, and we can fill up this vacuum by offering such programs on food processing technology. So in our academic kitty, now our academic kitty has been enriched, rather enriched, because of such programs. And I hope the students of this region would definitely benefit from these programs, and would be able to harness this opportunity by providing a skilled human resource of high caliber. If you do these programs successfully, I think there won't be any problem of unemployment, the ever concerning problem faced by our country and even across the globe. But such are the opportunities, these are the opportunities which could fill up these gaps, and we should be in a position to provide highly skilled human resource to the local industry that is also growing enormously. Today's speech and deliberations, I hope, would prove quite useful and quite encouraging and influential to the youths of this region. You have touched upon several aspects, including technical aspects of this particular sector, that is food processing industry. So as youths who have ambition to become the entrepreneur, self-employment, so there is a tremendous potential. So if you comes forward with this kind of entrepreneurship abilities and take on the challenges are not the threats, but they are offering enormous opportunities too. So I hope my students, the youths of this region would take it in a right perspective and would be inspired to take on these challenges. With this, I conclude. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring speech. Now, before we conclude the session of this international webinar, let me ask my colleague, Assistant Professor Suhel Bhendode, sir, of this webinar to propose a vote of thanks.
Hello, sir. May I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, sir. Good morning, all of you. I feel honored and privileged to get the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on the auspicious occasion. It is indeed a very memorable day as the chief guest and research person of today's international webinar, Honorable Mr. Pranay Gaikwad, very wonderful guest from USA, Wisconsin, Minnesota, South, with us for a lecture. I, on behalf of Professor Sambhajirao Kadam College, Deur, and on my own department of Community College and Deur Food Processing Technology, convey deep regard and heartily thanks to you, sir, for gracing the lecture and sharing with us your vision. Your speech was really excellent and very useful to our students. My special thanks to President of today's international webinar and Principal of our college, Dr. Bharat Bhosle, sir, for his guidance and cooperation to us. Thank you, sir. I also extend my sincere thanks to all my colleagues and students. With the prior permission, I conclude the vote of thanks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much to one and all. Thank you.